Hello Year 9, it's Mr. Heinrich again. Welcome to our fourth lesson on electrical circuits, looking at the various circuit diagram symbols that we are going to try and learn, and also how to draw circuit diagrams. So your starter task, if you haven't seen it already, was to use the circuit symbols sheet, which we will find on the Padlet. And on the sheet, you can either print it out or it is a Word document, so you can open it and type on it. I'd like you to write down what you think each of the circuit symbols are called. What name do we give them? So I'm just trying to find out what we know already about circuit symbols. Okay, so have a go at that if you've not done it. Pause the video and then you can check your answers on the next slide. Okay, how did you do? So here's our collection of circuit symbols, some of which you may recognize, some may be completely new to you. It's absolutely fine. So check your answers, pause the video and correct any that were not, you didn't get right, or add in the information. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is basically think about what each of those symbols does. What do each of those components do in a circuit? Okay, so looking again at your sheet with the names on it, I'd like you to write down or type your ideas as to what they actually do in a circuit. Again, pause the video to do that, and then you can check your ideas, your answers on the next slide. Okay, so here's some ideas, here's some thoughts as to very simply what some of those components do. We've got things that measure current and voltage. We've got things that can reduce the amount of current or stop it altogether. We've got things that can detect, so things that detect light. Things that react to changes, so react to temperature, for example. And then we've got the things that actually provide the energy in the system, in the circuit. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is circuits in general, first of all. So if you think about an electric torch, if we have a power cut at night, an electric torch can be very useful, but we need to check it regularly to make sure it works. You don't want to be going to the cupboard and getting your torch and finding that it's no longer working. And we can see from the circuit inside a torch how the bulb is connected, how it's connected to the little switch that you press and to the cells or the batteries inside the torch. And a circuit diagram will show you how the components in a circuit are connected together, and each component has its own symbol. So in here, in our torch, we've got our bulb, and you can see the orange line shows us how it's connected to the switch, which is then connected to the other end of the batteries, the two cells, which are then connected here just by touching each other to the bulb. And you need to be able to recognize these symbols, remember what each of them is used for, and be able to use them in your own diagrams. So what we're going to do is, this may be either an interactive task if your teacher is leading this lesson, or this will be independent work for you to do as you follow on. So I'd like you to take a piece of paper, or in your book, I'd like you to have a go using the symbols or on the sheet that we've just looked at. I'd like you to draw a circuit with a cell and two bulbs. So pause the video now while you do that. And remember, you're using circuit symbols. Remember, you're using circuit symbols here rather than pictures. How does yours look? Does it look something like that? Okay. So in my picture, I've actually got two cells here. I've got a battery, but I've got my two bulbs or lamps. Let's have another go. I'd like you to now add a switch. Add a switch so that both the bulbs are either on or off. Look at your diagrams. Pause the video. Okay, how did you get on? Does it look something like this? In my diagram, I've got lamp A and lamp B and a battery, and I've got a switch which is open, and that means that my bulbs will not be lit. They will be off because the circuit is not complete. Let's try another one. This time I'd like you to draw a circuit with a cell, a resistor, an ammeter, and a voltmeter. Have a look at the symbols for those on your sheet and have a go at drawing where you think they would go. Pause the video. Okay, now let's unpick what this looks like a little bit. So we've got our cell at the top there, as you can see, and we've got our circuit going around with our resistor in it. Now we've got our ammeter in one place and we've got our voltmeter somewhere slightly different, which looks a little bit odd. And we'll come to that in a bit, okay? But what you need to note, and I'd like you to write this down, is that the ammeter goes in the same loop as the resistor, whilst the voltmeter goes outside on a different loop. So we're going to look at why that is over the next few lessons. But remember from our work already that an ammeter is measuring current, and current is something that flows through a component. A voltmeter is measuring potential difference and is something that goes across a component. Okay, so I've just given you a hint there if you were listening. So I want you to answer those three questions in your book. What does an ammeter measure? What are the units? What does a voltmeter measure? What are the units? And what is the difference, do you think, between a resistor and a variable resistor, which are two of the symbols on your sheet? Pause the video and have a go. Okay, how did you get on? So as we said, an ammeter measures current. The units for current are amps, if we remember. A voltmeter measures potential difference, and the units are volts. And a fixed resistor has a specific resistance to it, whereas the resistance of a variable resistor can be altered. So have a look at how you got on with those questions. Okay, now this important circuit diagram rules. You will have noticed in all of my diagrams, okay, that I had on the screen, I had straight lines. And straight lines are really important when we draw circuit diagrams. So you should be using a pencil, you should be drawing in straight lines with a ruler, you should be making sure that you use clear symbols, okay? Those are the three key things. Now we also make sure, as I said already, we have our ammeter in series in the same loop as our components. Our voltmeter is what we call in parallel. It goes across our components, and we'll look at that in a little bit more detail. And then we're also going to look at different types of circuits, series and parallel circuits. Now, series circuits have one single loop or one branch. Parallel circuits can have multiple loops. Okay. So I'd like you to take down those circuit diagram rules, put them in a box somewhere in your book, highlight them, make sure they're nice and clear. Okay. So the work for your lesson, the rest of your work for today, there is a video I'd like you to watch on GCSE Physics Online. The link is there. The link is also in the Padlet. And there are some quick questions which are below the video on that website for you to answer into your books. You may be asked to upload those to Teams. When you've done that, I'd like you to have a go at drawing some circuits based on this information. So you've got three types of circuits to draw. Okay, the instructions are there. See if you can, using the circuit diagram rules, see if you can draw those three circuits. And then to consolidate that as a little extra kind of task for you, want to have a go at, just if you want to just practice your circuit symbols, if you're not quite sure, or if you want to show how good you are, there is a quiz or practice on something called footprint science. The link on that is in the, again, on the Padlet, okay? And you can have a go at the quiz, see how quickly you can do it. There's a little timer to time how quickly you can answer the questions. You may be asked to share your score. Okay, good luck. That's it for this lesson. I will see you next time.